Hi, this is Fred. I'm one of the BigBlueButton developers, and I'm going to walk you through the installation of BigBlueButton 0.8, which has some improvements to audio and the record and playback, which we've been working on for quite a few months. We'll go through the instructions here. It says the beta, but they won't be too different when you try them out. We'll do each step one by one, and I'll narrate each step as we go through it. We'll start with a Ubuntu 10.04 server. We need to use Ubuntu 10.04 32-bit or 64-bit. We'll paste in. The first step was to add the repository key so that we could take the signed packages and install them. The next will be add the URL for the repository itself. Again, the URL you may use might be different. We'll skip over adding the multiverse since it's already here in the sources.list for BigBlueButton or for Ubuntu. First step is we'll just do the apt-get update in the apt-get dist upgrade. This will be to ensure before we start the installation of BigBlueButton that you have the latest packages installed, the latest kernel, everything on the server is up to date and ready to go. So the first step with BigBlueButton 0.8 is we need to install Ruby. Some of the ingest and processing scripts for processing the recordings will use Ruby. So rather than use the packaging that's available for Ubuntu, which is somewhat out of date, we're going to use this script, which will ensure we have the latest version of Ruby installed. So we're just going to copy, paste it into install-ruby.sh, make it executable, and we'll run it. So this will now get the latest source for Ruby patch 2.9.0, which is, as of the time of this video, is the latest, and we'll go through the installation. Now we won't go through it all here. You're going to see in this video that I'll just jump ahead a couple times in the installation. So here we are in the middle of installation of Ruby. And again, it goes on for a few minutes. We'll just jump ahead. Okay, it's done. So at the end, let's just make sure everything looks good. We'll do ruby-v. Yep, Ruby's installed. Okay, so let's move on to the installation of BigBlueButton itself. There are three components. The first one is FreeSwitch, which handles the voice conferencing for BigBlueButton. There's a group package that we created called BBB FreeSwitch config. It will install FreeSwitch. We actually package our own version of FreeSwitch to get the 1.0.7. And again, we'll jump ahead. It's installed. All of these steps should finish without errors. So the next is to install BigBlueButton itself. This group package will install pretty much all of the components of BigBlueButton, except the API demos, which is the last step. There's quite a few packages to install. Yours will look slightly different. We'll just hit yes, and it will now go through and download all the needed packages and install them one by one. Again, we'll just skip ahead after the end of it. Again, you should see no errors, and we're now finished the installation of BigBlueButton itself. You could stop here and use the BigBlueButton server for the third-party application, but we're going to install the demos so that we can use the BigBlueButton server standalone. So we'll just install a package BBB demo. Done. Okay. So before we use the server, since the package installation isn't deterministic on how things get installed, we'll start with doing a bbconf --clean. This will do a clean restart of all the BigBlueButton processes, which means they'll shut them down in order. Nginx, Tomcat, Red5, FreeSwitch, and others. Clean all the log files out and start them up in the appropriate order. This is the first thing you would do if your server has any problems. It'll just do a clean restart of everything. Once we're done with this, and you can see here, it's waiting to make sure things are starting up correctly. And you'll see it says potential problems described below, none. So we can actually do a little more detailed check by doing bbconf --check. This will run through about 20 checks of the server, making sure everything's good. Again, no problems. Now, we don't need to do it here, but I'm going to show you can set the IP for BigBlueButton to listen on. I'll just set it to the same that it's already configured with, but if you have your server externally, you would use bbconf set IP to have BigBlueButton listen to, say, the external host name. Okay, the server's done. Everything's set up. The IP is set. Let's log into it. I'll go to the IP address for the server. You should see the landing page here. And the first thing we'll do is we'll just enter the demo meeting. This will take us into a demo meeting. This is the same setup you would see on our demo server. You're now running it locally on your own BigBlueButton server. So when the BigBlueButton loads, you can see I can chat. I just typed in a hi message. There's a default presentation that loads. and I'll join the voice. There'll be another video which kind of goes through the API examples, but at this point you have a BigBlueButton server running, 0.8, and you're good to try it out. If you have problems, just post to our mailing list, BigBlueButton-setup. There's lots of folks there that will help out, and we're very happy to make sure you get a BigBlueButton server running. That's an overview of the installation of BigBlueButton 0.8. For more information, go to BigBlueButton.org.